In the heart of a sprawling, sun-drenched savanna, lived a magnificent lion named Leo. He wasn't just any lion. He was a king, and his most prized possession, the symbol of his reign, was a crown. But this wasn't a crown of gold or jewels. It was a crown woven from the toughest vines, adorned with the rarest flowers and the most vibrant feathers the savanna had to offer. It was a gift from all the animals, a symbol of their unity and respect for his fair and just rule. One morning, Leo awoke from his slumber atop Pride Rock, stretching his mighty limbs. He reached up to adjust his crown, as he did every morning, but his paw met only air. Panic seized him. He patted his head again, his heart thumping against his ribs. It was gone. The crown was gone. A roar of distress echoed across the plains, silencing the morning chorus of birds and sending a ripple of unease through the kingdom. The animals gathered at the foot of Pride Rock, their faces etched with concern. Zola, the wise old elephant, raised her trunk. "What is it, King Leo? What has happened?" Leo, his voice trembling, announced the terrible news. "My crown. It's been stolen." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Who would dare commit such a brazen act? The crown wasn't just an ornament. It was the heart of their community. Immediately, a search party was formed. Kiko, the cheetah with eyes as sharp as an eagle's, volunteered to scout the open plains. Gilbert, the giraffe, offered to peer into the tallest acacia trees. Even the mischievous meerkat clan, led by a plucky fellow named Tim, promised to burrow and search every nook and cranny underground. Leo, though distraught, felt a flicker of hope seeing his subjects unite. Days turned into a week. Kiko had sprinted from one end of the savanna to the other, finding nothing. Gilbert had strained his long neck, inspecting every branch, to no avail. Tim and his family had dug so many tunnels they nearly created a new underground city, but the crown remained lost. The savanna grew quiet. The vibrant colors of the plains seemed to fade, mirroring the gloom that had settled over the animals. Leo grew more and more despondent. He stopped leading the morning assemblies. He lost his appetite for the hunts. He would sit for hours, staring at the empty spot on his head, the weight of his failure pressing down on him. He wasn't just a lion without a crown. He felt like a king without a kingdom. The animals missed their leader. They missed his reassuring roar, his fair judgments, and the feeling of safety his presence brought. One evening, a tiny, timid field mouse named Pip squeaked up to Pride Rock. He was so nervous his whiskers twitched uncontrollably. "Your Majesty," he whispered, bowing low. Leo barely lifted his head. "What is it, little one?" Pip took a deep breath. I think I know who has your crown." Leo's ears perked up. He sat upright, his full attention on the little mouse. "Who?" he rumbled, his voice a low growl of anticipation. Pip explained that he had seen the hyena clan, led by the cunning Scraps, laughing and playing with something shiny and colorful in their shadowy canyon. He had been too scared to get closer, but he was sure it was a king's crown. A wave of anger washed over Leo. The hyenas had always been outsiders, scoffing at the kingdom's unity. Of course, it was them. Fueled by a renewed sense of purpose, Leo let out a roar that shook the very ground. It wasn't a roar of despair this time, but a roar of a king ready to reclaim what was his. The animals heard the call and rallied behind him. Zola the elephant, Kiko the cheetah, Gilbert the giraffe, and even Tim's entire meerkat clan stood ready. They were not just following a king. They were fighting for their home. They marched towards the hyena's canyon. As they approached, they could hear the cackling laughter Pip had described. Peeking over a ridge, Leo saw it. Scraps was wearing the crown, prancing around while his clan howled with amusement. The rare flowers were crushed, the feathers were bent, and the vines were fraying. Seeing the symbol of their unity so disrespected sent a surge of righteous fury through the crowd. Leo didn't charge in blindly. He turned to Zola. "We need a diversion," he said. Zola nodded and coordinated with Kiko and Gilbert. On Zola's signal, Gilbert began knocking over a pile of loose rocks on the far side of the canyon, creating a loud clatter. At the same time, Kiko zipped back and forth along the ridge, a golden blur that immediately caught the hyena's attention. They were confused, looking everywhere at once. This was the moment. While the hyenas were distracted, Tim and his meerkats quickly and quietly dug a tunnel right under Scraps' feet. As Scraps turned to see what the commotion was, the ground beneath him gave way, and he tumbled into a shallow pit. The crown flew off his head and landed a few feet away. Before any of the other hyenas could react, Leo leaped down into the canyon. With a single, powerful bound, he stood over the crown, his eyes blazing. He let out a roar so mighty that the hyenas, including a dirt-covered and startled Scraps, froze in their tracks. They had never seen Leo this furious, this powerful. They saw not just a lion, but the true king of the savanna. Without another sound, the hyenas scrambled away, disappearing into the deepest shadows of their canyon. Leo gently picked up the battered crown. It was damaged, but it was back. The animals cheered, a joyous sound that filled the air and seemed to bring the color back to the plains. They escorted their king back to Pride Rock in a grand procession. Leo, however, was quiet. He looked at the damaged crown and then at the hopeful faces of his friends. That evening, as the sun set, casting a golden glow over the kingdom, Leo called another assembly. He held up the crown for all to see. "This crown," he began, his voice clear and strong, "was a symbol of our unity. When I lost it, I thought I had lost everything. I thought the crown was what made me a king." He paused, looking around at his loyal subjects. "But I was wrong. Searching for it, and fighting for it together. That is what makes us a kingdom. A king isn't defined by what he wears on his head, but by the courage in his heart and the loyalty of his subjects." He then looked at little Pip the mouse, who was perched on Zola's back. True strength and courage can come in any size. Leo placed the battered crown at the center of the gathering. "We will not try to fix this old one," he declared. "Instead, tomorrow, we will all build a new one, together. Because our kingdom isn't in the crown. It's in each and every one of us." A cheer louder than any before erupted across the savanna. That night, the animals celebrated not the return of an object, but the rediscovery of their strengths, their unity, and the true meaning of leadership. And Leo, with or without a crown, had never felt more like a king. Thank you so much for watching this story. If you enjoyed it, please hit that like button and subscribe for more tales from the savannah and beyond. We love sharing these adventures with you. See you next time.